Right. Um, let's just start with this chapter. So here we are going to cover. You're going to start with the 8th standard science with the part one. First chapter is going to be crop management. Let's just start with it. Okay. So part one will just contain first six chapters with respect to crop management, microorganisms, synthetic and plastic materials and metals, coal and combustion. So we will cover this, and I will try to make multiple videos of this part one. Maybe for around every 10 slides there will be one video. So let's start on with this. So now we will start with what is crop production and management. What exact topics we need to cover in here, we need to know, and what's the basic understanding we should start with. Let's just start. So basically, it is nothing but um, just involved in production of food that we consume. Okay. Um, Now you say, okay, what is food? How food helps us? Why food? Because we can say it is just needed for our body to produce energy for carrying out many body functions such as respiration, digestion, and excretion. These are the main functions involved. So now, in order to live, we need to breathe, and in order to breathe, the body has to function. It needs energy. So for that, we need food. For the food digestion has to be done. So some energy invested in there, and the waste material will go as excretion. So these are the main operations that a human body or animal body need, and for that they need food. Now, the food, how will you get that food? So by doing cultivation, doing crop production, and all those things. So let's just start with it. Um, so as we need food, every human being or animal need food. So production, management, distribution of food is necessary in every country or a geography to provide food or supply food to the members of that country. Now, okay, we need food, we need to produce food, but what exactly is crop? So, on very basic definition of it, when plants of same kind are cultivated at one place in large scale, is called crop. So this is just a basic definition of what is crop. Types of crop. Now you know crop. It's better to understand the categories of it and how it is exactly produced. We will move on to the management of crop part later. But let's just understand what's the types of crop. So the first type is kharif crop, usually sown in the rainy season in India, especially in India. Rainy season means monsoon. Monsoon is from June to September, and in this time window, whatever crop is cultivated is called kharif crop. And what happens in this season? So obviously it's a rainy season, a lot of rain, cloudy. Daytime would be cloudy and a lot of rain will happen. So that's the kind of weather, humid. I mean, wet kind of weather would be there. And the main appropriate crop for this season are few examples we've given here. Paddy, that is mostly related to rice, paddy, and then maize, soybean, groundnut, and cotton. These are the main crop cultivated during the rainy season. Next category is rabi crop. Now, what is rabi? Rabi crop is categorized mostly in the season of winter, which is kind of October to March time frame in India. So, not all regions has such a long winter, but if you consider throughout India, this is the time window within which the winter season appear in India. So some regions has less winter, shorter winter. Some regions has larger winter. But this is the bottom line. So the bottom line is rabi crop is grown in the winter season. Example are wheat, gram, peas, mustard, and linseed. These are just few examples. There could be more also, but we are just considering few examples to start with. Apart from these two main crop categories, there are also some crop developed during summer season. Mostly, whatever applicable, whatever kind of possible in that season that is focused. Summer is mostly, if you see, happens for 2-3 months, but it happens between, you say, sometime between April to June time frame. It appears, and after that, it monsoon starts. So summer crop, usually few crops are appropriately picked for summer season. Mostly those are kind of pulses like dals and all. Vegetables are grown in many places during this summer time frame. Now we will move on to how the production process of crop happen. So we'll start on with the process of crop production. So what is that? Um, so crop production is kind of stepwise process, several activities which are called also agricultural practices. Those are done uh, during cultivation uh, time. So the first in that in those steps are is called preparation of soil. There are almost six practices done one by one after another. So first in that category is preparation of soil. Now, what is that preparation? It's nothing but turning and loosening of soil. Now, why that is needed? Because soil contains minerals, um, and also need water and air to generate nutrients. Now you want to cultivate, so you need nutrients, right? So these nutrients are basically created by organisms living in soil by decomposing the dead plants and animals. So it's just briefly explaining how why preparation of soil needed and how it helps. This makes nutrients present in these dead organisms released back to the soil. So um, by doing this preparation, it helps for generation of nutrients and getting absorbed these nutrients by the soil. This preparation is also called tilling and plowing. So preparation is of soil is nothing but plowing, which is done by a plow made of either wood or iron, helpful to kind of breaking the crumbs of soil blocks. And also, apart from that, leveling of soil is also helpful for sowing and irrigation. Um, Leveling of soil is needed because before doing some cultivation, you need to prepare the field. And so, how will you do that? First, you will uneven land of soil would be there, so you will make it even by breaking the big crumbs and then leveling them. So leveling the soil is helpful primarily for sowing and irrigation, and usually done by a leveler. So we will just see few images. So we discussed plow is needed, and we discussed leveler is needed for this preparation part. Now let's see what are those. So this is just showing how plow is used by human and animals to prepare the soil, and then these are the parts of the plow: beam, the shaft, and this is called share. So this is kind of the pointed part is primarily used here to just kind of plow the fields. So breaking the soil, making loosening it up, and then a leveler is used to make it even. So these are the kind of preparation part. Now the next, there is also another tool called hoe is used for removing the weeds and loosening the soil. Now that we are preparing the soil, we are discussing. So we are also discussing, okay, if there are already a field with a bunch of weeds, like unwanted plant or something, we need to remove that, right? So that tool is used to removing the weeds and loosening the soil. The next step in this process is called sowing. Now, after you prepare the field, we need to sow. So, what it is basically, for a better crop and good quality and healthy seeds are selected. So now sowing means you need to sow the seed so that you're going to get the plant, right? So it's kind of reaping. So basically, how it is done, good quality and healthy seeds are selected for sowing purpose. Now, why that is needed is farmers prefer seeds with high yield. So, if you need better crop and higher production, you need to do some prep work, like find out what are the good quality seeds and healthy seeds, and use those only for this purpose. There are various sewing mechanisms used. There are kind of traditional tools and seed drills are used to sowing the seeds, and there are modern techniques also used. So traditional tools are primarily used by animals, with the help of animals and tractors for sowing, and appropriate distancing is needed to avoid overcrowding. So we will discuss few tools that are used to show how they are maintaining the distance and sowing it. So the distancing is needed because you see, we prepare the soil with nutrients, and we cannot overcrowd the seeds, because overcrowding is going to make that at the same reason in the field, many seeds, so many plants will grow. So if they cannot get enough nutrients, then they are going to not grow properly. So proper distancing has to be maintained so that all the plants or all the seeds are kind of getting enough uh, uh, nutrients for better crop. So, so appropriate distancing is needed to get enough sunlight, nutrients, water from the soil. So here we are discussing some traditional tools that used to insert the seeds and all. So these are the tools used with the help of uh, animals and also human beings involved. And there is a seed drill also involved, let's say, where you're going to various reasons, you just put it, and then you will just pass on the seeds in there so that they are going to inserted at proper intervals in the soil to produce better crop. And this image is mostly um, what we discussed earlier, how it is used to removing weeds and all. There are various types of hoes, but this is just one category used with the help of a similar animal to kind of remove weeds present in the field before sowing. It could be used. Now coming to next, so now that you have sown the seeds, now you need to uh, make sure that the field is fertile enough so that the seeds are going to grow some plants, and that is done usually with the help of manure and fertilizers. Now, what is this manure? We will start with manure, and we will discuss what's the difference between a fertilizer and manure. Substances, those primarily, what is it? So, what is a manure? Means substances those added to soil for healthy growth of crops and plants. So, manure is nothing, just some organic substance added to soil to improve the nutrients content so that healthy growth of the crop will happen. Why it is needed? continuous cultivation makes the soil poor in nutrients. So between crops, you need to use this manure to ensure that okay, you're getting good crop. So this step is also absolutely necessary. Now, how it is done? Manure is an organic substance produced from decomposition of plant or animal waste by dumping in pits at open places. So it's just saying the part manure, which is a different category, it's an organic one, and how it is produced by decomposition of plants and animal waste by dumping in pits at open places. You leave it like that, then that becomes manure over a time. So just basic understanding. We won't go how what's the process of production of manure and all that may be left for specific higher studies. Now, okay, if this is manure, then what is fertilizer? What's the difference? Let's know the difference, then you will know what is fertilizer. So, one part is manure, one is fertilizer. So, manure we discussed is a natural substance, organic substance obtained from decomposition, whereas fertilizer is man-made inorganic salt. So, when you get onto chemistry, you will know what is organic, what is inorganic. So, organics primarily natural and living matter. Inorganic are kind of prepared in the laboratory or factories. Um, Manure is prepared in open fields, as we discussed here. These are prepared in fertilizers, prepared in factories. That's another difference. Manure provides humus to the soil, whereas fertilizers doesn't provide humus. Now, what is humus? It's kind of a partially decayed organic matter which makes soil porous by increasing its water holding capacity. So, humus is something which is usually produced when we produce manure. That's not kind of possible when we produce fertilizers in the factories. So that humus thing is possible with manure, but not with fertilizers. So some people may be thinking, okay, fertilizer is there, why manure is needed? So this is the reason. Like, oh, you need to provide some characteristics to the soil. For that, manure is needed, and for specific targeted needs, fertilizers are used. Last in this difference is that so manure is less rich in nutrients but more in towards the organic matter like humus and all, which is kind of very helpful for the soil, whereas fertilizer is rich in nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Some examples are kind of ammonia, urea, and kind of stuff. So we will study more facts. Fertilizers help to get better yield, but manure provide the base to the soil. Fertilizers cause water pollution, but that's not the case in manure. It's organic matter, so it can more easily decompose in natural phenomena. Uh, More facts: to maintain fertility of soil, substitute fertilizers with organic manure or leave the field uncultivated between crops. So this is one technique, one question you might get. Okay, um, how to make the field good for cultivation between crops and all. So these are few techniques. So so fertility of the soil could be improved by fertilizers, but with organic manure also equally important in addition to fertilizers. There are some techniques to improve the soil nutrients and making the field cultivate more productive. Few of them, one of that is discussed here: use crop rotation, like first cultivate. One example of that is first cultivate legumes like pulses and all to increase the nitrogen content in the soil. So how it is done? Usually by cultivating legumes, um, a bacteria called rhizobium is created in the nodules of those crop and plant, and that is kind of very good or kind of very useful in the following crops. Like after that, if you cultivate wheat, it is coming in very good use. So this is one way, like crop rotation is used to um, get um, better output from a single field. Next in this step after manure and fertilizers is irrigation. Okay, you put manure and all, and the crop need water, right? To also, this is a process of 3-4 months. It doesn't happen overnight. So the crop need water as the next step. Supply of water to crop at regular intervals is called irrigation. That's the basic definition. Like in if it is a summer crop, more water would be needed. Or in summer crop, water scarcity is there, so you need to pick the crops which need less water. That is also one way to improve the yield of the field. Now, why? It is essential for water is essential for germination of seeds that sown in the field, and it does not happen in dry conditions. So, for that, we need water. Wet conditions are needed for germination. Source of irrigation. So now that we know why irrigation is needed, how to provide that irrigation. So there are traditional methods uh, which are kind of cattle or human labor is used. Like one is called moat system, which is a pulley system, and there are other techniques also there: chain pump, deckly, and rahat. So here it is saying, oh, how is a moat system like? Is directly a well is there, and then water is removed and then passed on to kind of a small channel or a canal kind of stuff. So that's how one of a traditional way of providing water, providing irrigation to the crop fields. There is a chain pull system is also there. This kind of chain pulling would be going, and water will be pulled and passed into the field. There is a deckly system is there, where you are kind of using this deckly to kind of pulling water and putting it here. And there is another system called rahat lever system is there, where kettle is used continuously moving, whereas this wheel is going and the water is kind of removed and poured into the places. There are modern systems also available. These modern systems are usually called water conserving systems, such as sprinkler system, primarily useful in uneven land with limited water, good for lawns and coffee plantation. And there is another system is called drip system, where water falls drop by drop near the roots directly, good for fruit plants and uh, gardens and trees, kind of stuff. So this is showing a image of sprinkler system where a single pipe and bunch of uh, vertical pipes would be there, where the nozzle would be there, which is going to make round and then sprinkle over the whole field. So this helps usually what to spread out the whole field, and limited water can be used. Water could be saved very well by using these modern systems. Next, so after irrigation, there is a step called protecting the crop from the weeds. You need to observe the field. Okay, crop is growing. Okay, are there weeds? Then you need to go to the field and time to time watch for the weeds and remove them, or else your crop will be lost. So continuous monitoring is needed. When it doesn't happen that you did first three steps and then forget about until you're kind of harvesting. So next step is kind of protection from weeds. There are many undesirable plants grow in a field along with the crop, and these are called weeds. The removal of weeds is called weeding. So weed is there, we need to remove it. It is necessary in order to make sure that crop plants are getting all the water, nutrient, and space and light. Helps in removing interference in harvesting, and some weeds can be poisonous for humans and animals. So, for conserving the nutrients, and also removing the poisonous stuff from the field, these weeding is needed. So, you need to, if the weeds are growing, you need to remove them. Tilling and seed drills help in removing weeds to some extent. So, while you are sowing the seeds, that time also you can remove the little weeds whatever kind of present by when you use this technique called tilling and seed drills. um, Now, what's the best time to do it? It's a kind of all the way from sowing seeds to crop growth, and you need to continuously observe and do it. But So the best time for weeding is before the weeds produce seed and flower, because before they produce seed and flower you should remove those weeds, or else they can cause more damage. Here is showing one tool called kurpi is used to remove the weeds, and there are other techniques also used like weedicides. This book is giving some example of weedicides used to. It's showing how the weedicides are sprinkled, um, and how it is used to uh, like protecting the crop from the weeds. The next step is called harvesting. What is harvesting? Uh, It's nothing but cutting and extracting the crop after it is mature. So now that the crop has grown and ready to be extracted, just extract it so that it won't get lost by some natural phenomenon. So harvesting is nothing but extracting the crop. Done manually by a sickle. We know sickle is kind of a bow kind of a tool to cut. That is the traditional way. um, in case of rice and grain, seeds are needed to be separated from the chaff, and this process is called dressing. And there are various tools used to dress, separate the chaff from the seed. This is done in a machine called combine. So we will see, um, we can use machines to do that, and manually also some smaller fields, some winnowing process is used where um, inserted with sap, and it is just producing the seeds outside here. So this is for bigger fields where harvesting equipment is used called combine. It's both uh, kind of separating the output from the plants and all. So collecting the plants separate the paddy or wheat from there. So both are combined. And here also similarly, but this is for just smaller fields. Manually it could be done using threshing, where it just holding the uh, plants in a group and just beating it so that the seeds are going to be separated from the shaft. Is called threshing. Next, now that you have harvested the food, the next step is storage. Now, this is a very important task, storage, no doubt. If you don't store it properly, then it will get spoiled. Now, before storing the grains, we need to sun dry them to reduce the moisture in them, which is going to help in preventing pests, bacteria, or fungi. So, this is one thing you need to know, that before storing, we need to make sure that there is no moisture in the crop, cultivated seeds, so that that helps in preserving it longer. Farmers basically use jute bags and metallic bins to store these generated crop in silos and granaries. So we will see a few pictures. So these are called silos, where um, the generated crop is stored. These are kind of granaries where jute bags are used to store the prepared food. Next, so just like the plant crop that we get, these rice, paddy, maize, and all, some regions also live on animals. So some examples are how people live on food from animals. Coastal area people consume fish as food, that you guys already know. If a coastal area is there and the land is quite near to the coast, if they can get fish, they use that also, because the effort is less and it is readily available, right? Um, so not just consuming a lot is going to help, but if a fish is there, you can just catch it. That's how simple. Pet animals raised in home or farms, such as cow, goat, lamb, hen, cock, etc., need to be provided with food and shelter and care, just as much as we saw during plant growth. We have 6 steps. So like we need to raise animals for our own daily needs and food. So we need to provide food and shelter and care to them. There are process and techniques for that. We are not going to discuss here, but just for the understanding, we have pet animals like cow, goat, lamb, and all. So there should be farms there, which takes care of various steps to preserve them and produce them, and eventually they could be useful for consuming that. Now, when this is done in large scale in a farm, like preserving animals and using it for food, it's called animal husbandry. So, this is few pictures where different kind of animals are kept here and used for farming purpose for consuming food. Next, okay, this is about crop production and management. We will get on to questions. We covered the content. So there's some match items there. So for example, okay, so what is a kharif crop? Now, kharif crop, we already saw. Kharif crop is nothing but paddy and maize. We can write paddy and maize here. Rabi crop is nothing but wheat. Rabi means it's grown in the winter. It's wheat, gram, and peas. Chemical fertilizers. Okay, what are the fertilizers we know? Chemical fertilizers are like urea, superphosphate. These are few examples. Organic manure are nothing but um, natural matter like animal excreta, cow dung, urine, and plant waste are used as organic manure. Next, what is weeding? In the weeding step, we already saw in slide 7 what is weeding. You can refer that. What is dressing? We just discussed while harvesting. Over the dressing step is done. Difference between fertilizers and manure, we already discussed in slide 5. Methods of irrigation for conserving water, we already saw 2 modern methods like sprinkler system and drip system in slide 6. um, there is another question here: why wheat not shown in kharif season? We know wheat is a rabi crop. Why it is not shown in kharif season? Because wheat needs optimum temperature, um, and controlled water amount, and a longer day. So those are not possible during Kharif, which is a rainy season. Um, we need little water, so rainy season can produce a lot of water. Temperature is also low. Without a proper temperature, wheat cannot be grown. And a longer day. It is a cloudy day, so it is not ideal for um, a rainy season. So we need a winter season to produce wheat. That's what it is discussing. Why wheat is not sown in the rainy season. How soil affected by continuous plant of crops? Yeah, so continuous crop production will reduce the nutrients in the soil. We use crop rotation and leaving the field uncultivated between crops to help it improve the nutrients. Refer slide number 5 to understand how the kind of continuous plantation affects the soil. So that's it for this chapter. This is part 1A, crop production and management, and we will connect again in the next chapter.